We ready?
Yeah, go.
I'll provide the lullaby.
3, 2, 1, and go. We are
Hi,
live.
folks. We are live?
Yeah.
Hi, folks. Sorry, we're a little bit late. Luther threw us a curveball. Gave us an hour. Tonight's topic, thank you, is sharpening. So I can provide you with lots of info. Frick, do you have any questions right off the bat?
Yeah. One from Danny.
Danny, who? Danny Bell?
Danny. No, it's not Danny Bell. He says, what radius do you give a 4-plane blade?
I don't. So there's two methods of sharpening. There are two schools of thought. One is slight camber. David Charlesworth was famous for that. And by that I mean, just in case those of you who are listening don't understand, the blade edge would not be straight. It would have...
show them a scrub plane blade.
Well, it would have a radius, a slight radius. Not a lot, just a slight. Excuse me. Ian Kirby, who I follow, made the edge perfectly straight from here to here with just a slight feathering on the outside corners. And my slight feathering means on the final stone, in my case the 16,000, you would just put a little bit extra downward pressure right here for 3 seconds and then a little bit right there for 3 seconds. And it just dropped it a little bit below that surface so that when you planed a wide piece, you could have overlapping passes and they would all blend in and it would give you a nice surface. So, to answer your question again, no, I don't do that. So I sharpen all of my blades the same except block planes and shoulder planes and rabbit planes. I leave those straight side to side with no dressing the corners. Next, Frick.
Question from Drew Jet. It's his username. How do you sharpen curved blades like beating blades?
Like beating blades?
Yeah.
So you don't mean curved, you mean...
Well, no, he might.
Huh?
Like the curve, like the inside curve.
So a molding plane blade.
Plane.
I'll show you. Have we got one in here, Jake?
Yeah, in the bottom.
Okay, well, here's a couple examples. So there's a round bottom plane. And this one, use my hammer.
I think he meant the opposite.
My missing hammer. What?
I think he would have meant the opposite.
So, blade like that, can't use a back bevel, so this has to remain flat, just like you would on a chisel. And I would simply start like a scrub plane on my stone, find my primary bevel, starting over in this corner, raise up slightly off of that, and just start doing little circles. And while you're doing little circles, you're rotating, rolling around like that. And I usually do it twice, meaning then I start here and I come back the other way. And as long as I can detect a slight burr, then I'm good. Now, if I was doing this plane, which is designed to leave a finished bottom, a rounded surface, and what I mean is, when I use my scrub plane, it should be sitting right there. When I use my scrub plane, I'm using that like an axe. I'm just trying to remove a lot of material in a controlled fashion, but everything left from the scrub plane is going to be removed with the next plane. When I use this, if I'm doing the inside of a round chest, which is what I made it for, that surface is going to be finished right from the plane. So for this one, I would go from a coarse stone up to a finished stone, same as I would do on a regular plane blade, do the same thing, just roll the radius, flip it over, and then polish off the burr, put it back in, away you go. Now, I'm not sure which question you were...
I think he meant this.
Plane blade.
He said beating, right? Which means you have the inside of the curve, not the outside.
So, on something like this, which is a beading plane. I'll just show you how this works really quick. So this cuts a bead. Everybody that does it today would use a router bit, but you could go in and cut it with this. I don't think the sole on this old plane is flat anymore. Now that's pine, so relatively easy stuff to work with. Let me just clean this up a little bit. Can't do much about that big scar. Now, isn't that neat? How do you sharpen it? Well, come on.
It goes forward, doesn't it? Yeah, you're trying to get that.
So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can flatten this off and treat it like a chisel. So by going back in and repolishing it, you're sharpening one side of it. On the back side, you have a couple of options there as well. You can go in and take a piece of dowel and you can wrap emery cloth or fine sandpaper around it and then use that to go in and create a little bit of a secondary bevel, go all the way around it and then polish this side. Or you can buff it. So I've done that, that's why it looks shiny as it is. You just gone over to a buffing wheel with buffing compound, and that's the quickest and the easiest way to do it. And that's that. And the complex radiuses, same idea. You could also use a slipstone. And a slipstone is a slipstone comes in various shapes, but they are, trying to think of where I have one to show you.
Carving chisel.
Huh?
The carving chisel.
Yeah, but where I don't have any here.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, well, there's
You had one, it
there's
broke.
what's left of a slipstone. That's a 1/4 inch diameter one, so that was a long rod. So it's just an abrasive, and you can go in and use that. Kind of hard to use that. And the little tip there is just keep painting with a felt tip marker the inside radius so you know where you're cutting. It takes a bit of skill. Next, Frick.
I think you touched on it, but Douglas Berger wants you to talk about the scrub plane blade.
Doug.
Doug?
Doug from Seattle.
Doug? Moose, do you know what the scrub plane looks like? So I won't send you. Chris, do you know what a scrub plane looks like?
Won't send him either.
Hey, can we have some good help? The kids come running when I said that. Okay, introduce them while I go find it, please.
What do you got, Frank?
What?
You got some elevator music?
I'm moderating the chat here.
Give me some elevator
I'm
music.
flying solo this evening.
Where's Luther?
I don't know.
No, he's back. He got back yesterday morning. Or yesterday.
Probably forgot.
So here's a scrub plane. And this is an axe with 2 handles. If I want to remove a lot of material, I can do it with this. And you'll notice that the blade is round. So you cannot treat this like we do a normal plane blade, meaning there's no ruler trick to be used. It's easy to sharpen. I typically don't go above 1,000 grit simply because it's not a finishing tool. So You're going to set your, by the way, if you have to regrind it, you just get on there, get your angle established, 25 degrees, and you just find your pivot point somewhere back here, and you just roll it like that until you've created a new radius. This one actually needs to be done. Let's turn it on and this shot. Of course, the secret is to constantly be looking, seeing where you're making contact. Now, there's a lot of material to be removed, so I'm not going to bother because it'll take too much time. So what I would do is find my primary bevel. I'm going to start over in this corner, come up off of the primary, and then now I'm doing a little circle. As you can see by the mark left on the stone that it's not making very much, there's not very much contact. Now I'm in the middle, and I'll eventually end up on the other corner. And then I'll just come back doing the same thing. Feel for a burr. I got a burr, so then I'll just set that on there flat. Remove the burr, the SID burr. Wipe it down. This goes in bevel down. It's got a big open throat so that you can remove a lot of material quickly. Lock that down. So if you had
How thick?
we'll make them thicker. We can make them thicker. And the nice thing about this one, you can pull it too. I've had to do that in the past. I hurt my shoulder one time. Next, Rick. By the way, this is our Saturday night live YouTube workshop in support of our Purple Heart project. If you don't know what that is, I'll tell you. 6 times, next year will be 7. 7 times a year, we bring in 7 combat wounded veterans from all over the world. Big shout out to Casper. You'll notice that I have my Danish flag flying. Casper was a combat wounded vet that was here this year, summer. We had Zach, combat wounded vet from Ireland, here this summer. A few years ago, we had from, help me, Jake.
Ireland?
No, Australia.
Ash.
Ash from Australia. The rest have been Canadians and Americans. Anyway, we bring them in, we fly them in. We take care of their flight. We take care of their meals for the week that they're here. We take care of their hotel. We send each vet home with approximately $4,000 worth of tools, the exact same stuff that you see behind me. In fact, I'll name it to you. We give them a number 6. We give them a 4.5. We give them a low-angle block plane. We give them a 3/4 shoulder plane. We give them 2 marking gauges. We give them a medium tenon saw, a joinery crosscut, and a dovetail saw. We give them a 1/4, a 1/2, and a 3/4.
No.
A 1/4 and a 1/2 chisel. We give them a
Bench.
1/2 bench chisel, IBC, yeah. We give them a 3/8 mortise chisel. We give them a 1/2 blind dovetail chisel. We give them a 6-inch combination square, a fret saw. We give them a mallet. We give them stones.
board.
Pardon?
Shooting board.
We give them a shooting board. We give them their stones, the diamond plate, the 16,000, the 6,000, the heavy holder, hone right. What am I forgetting? As I look. We covered the saws, we covered the planes, we covered the chisels, we covered the marking tools. I can't think of what. We give them a mortise and gauge.
Fret saw.
Yeah, I said fret saw.
Combination square.
Combination square, I got that.
Dividers.
Dividers.
Like
Dovetail marker, shanshim.
Knife. Dovetail
Yeah,
marker.
dovetail marking knife. A whole bunch of stuff. And thanks to the Bench Brigade, Jack Lane down in Texas and Chris Chahusky, who helps them deliver them, and Jim Merzetti up here in New Brunswick, we also deliver a workbench, a Cosman workbench, to their home. And that's done by a volunteer who built it. So some of them are being delivered as we speak. So, of course, that's expensive. We were going on old numbers. When we first started, we figured it was about $3,500 per vet. Now we figured it out the other day, and it's $6,800. So things are a little more pricey than before. We feed them extremely well. Plus, we also added a day. It used to be a 5-day course. Now it's a 6-day course. Anyway, so miraculous things happen in 6 days. It's amazing. I don't know sure how it happens, but I see it. I witness it, and it does. And they'll tell you the same thing. If you want to participate, you can. You can donate. Easiest way to do it. And we're always in need of cash because those bills have to be paid. So you can go on our website, RobCosman.com, and if you go to the left side under the PHP, there's a drop-down menu, and in there it says, "How can I help?" And it'll show you. That way we don't lose any of the fees that normally YouTube or anybody else takes. The only thing we lose is the credit card fee, which is 2 or 2.5% or something. And to give back to you, for every $1,000 increment that we reach each night, we give away a prize valued at about $300. Ooh, got to get Kim's upstairs. I'll get Rex to go get it. Rex. So that's another story. Rex. Chris, you know where my office is? Would you make your way up there? And there's a cardboard box and there's a turquoise colored handbag. Would you bring that down for me, please? I'll fill you in on the prizes in a little bit. Frick, you want to hit me with another one?
Yeah, Andrea says, have you ever used or tuned up a Stanley 113? I was giving one that may date back to the 50s or 60s.
Hi, Andrea. A 113. I don't even know what a 113 is. At least it's not registering. So if you can put that in the notes, I'll address it, but I don't know what a 113 is. Next, Frick.
Okay. Jim Kane says, are you familiar with and can you comment on CBN sharpening stones?
Sharpening stones?
The 113 is the compass plane.
Oh, I have one. All right, so I'll come back to that one, Frick. This is for Andrea. Where's Andrea?
It doesn't say. These are all in the chat, so...
Oh, you don't know. So this is Stanley's version. I wonder if it says on there anywhere 113. That's probably the reason why. Oh, yeah, all the information was on there, and my cap broke. So I had this one made, and this piece is broken off the handle. I think that's the only place there's identifying marks. So read me her question again, now that I know what she's talking about.
Have you ever used or tuned up a Stanley 113?
Yeah, I was building, that thing right over there. Do I have a picture of it, Jake?
Which thing would be that thing?
The, yeah. Do I have a picture of it right here?
the bended ash bench?
Bended ash bench.
I don't think you have a picture of it.
I don't think I do. So this was a front entrance seat, and it had radiuses on it. It was the sides were 1 3/4 inches thick, and it had a slight radius coming down from the top, which where your arm would sit, and then at the front of this piece there was another radius. So I bought one of these. I actually bought a couple. I bought a new one first. I didn't like it, so then I bought the older one, record-made one. And I wouldn't say that it was a terribly accurate plane. It was a little bit cumbersome to use. The sole flexes. So if this, you can make this either convex or a concave shape, and you can just dial that in to fit the shape that you're working with. And if you go the opposite way, you'll do the opposite shape. Thanks, Chris. So the only problem is that it's not like a plane where everything is nice and solid. This actually flexes a little bit. So of course you got to have your blade really sharp. I didn't have to do any tuning up. Well, I did. I had to have some parts made, but I'm not sure what you would do. This has got a rusty sole, so that would need to be scrubbed off. But you'd have to do that with a sand flex, or as Luther would call it, a sandaflex. Pick that up later. So just go in there and clean that sole. We should sell these on Sunday mornings for sole cleaning. How many dozen do you want, Moose? A crate. A pallet.
A case.
This has gotten wet. It's not just surface, that's actually started to pit. So I would go in and clean that up. Other than that, and sharpening the blade, I haven't had this thing apart in a long time, as you can tell. In fact, I've never used this. I must have two of these.
What's up with the frog?
Huh? What about it?
What is all of this?
Well, this is your advance and retract. I don't think it's working.
Oh, it uses the
Yeah.
the lever cap, or not the lever cap.
Yeah. There
The
it
chip
is.
breaker screw.
There it is. Oh, it came out. So you turn it like that and it advances, and then you pull it back and it retracts. And that piece is just sliding on that angled slot. And as long as that stays in there, a little bit of ingenuity. Anyway, would I recommend buying one of those? I suppose if you had to, but I don't think you're not going to get the kind of results that you're used to getting when you use a nice sharp hand plane on a flat board. There's, as I mentioned, the sole has a tendency to flex a little bit, but it's been a long time since I did it. Sharpen the blade as you normally would. I don't think there's anything else. Wax the sole so that it moves freely. You could maybe go in and oil that a little bit so it'll move a little bit better. No adjustable throat. There you have it.
Frick?
What was the other question, Frick?
It came from Jim Kane.
Oh, about using CBN wheel?
Yeah. Victor also asked about it.
Okay, ask me.
CBN sharpening stones.
Stones?
Yeah, and two different people said it, so it's...
I don't think they mean.
So here's what somebody's going to have to clarify. So they may be talking about this. So this is a diamond plate, and I thought it was industrial diamond, not CBN, carbon boron nitrate. This, on the other hand, is a wheel that is coated on 3 sides with CBN. And these cut really fast. I thought I had one loose that I was going to show you. Clarify which one you're talking about and I'll address it. Just let me know when somebody says something, Frick. Next.
Handsonomics. How often do you strop versus how often do you do a full sharpening when doing a project? Does wood hardness play a role? And time using the tool.
Okay, I didn't quite understand your first part of your question. Say it again, please.
How often do you, how do you say that? Strop?
Strop? I don't. I never strop.
Versus how often do you do a full sharpening when doing a project?
Okay, so let's clarify what exactly you're asking. So did I already say thank you for this kit that we hope we never have to use? Dan Orth, who was a medic in one of our last classes, had that sent to us. Did we have some injuries that sparked interest in that? Who got cut?
Mickey.
Oh, no, Mickey?
Yeah, he fell and hit his head on the rock.
Oh, and Dan fixed him up?
Yep.
And then during the same time, Rex ran his finger through the bandsaw, his thumb? I guess we do need it. Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to grab a piece of wood. And we'll put this in the vise. I'll go through the sharpening process. Make sure that's seated. I'm going to use my 5.5, which is what I typically would use. Take the lever cap out. Take the blade and chip breaker out. Somehow I've lost my favorite screwdriver. Nobody's returned it yet. So we go over here to sharpen. Before we do, this is my 16,000 grit stone. So I'm going to come in here and using the 300 grit side of this diamond plate, you need that in order to cut the ceramic. You don't have to worry about the 1,000 because that one stays flat. Now I'm going to hold my blade. I'm going to set it down on the primary bevel, elevate slightly. And I'm going to do these little circles. I've got the blade on a bit of an angle so that it stays on the stone. And I'll do about 10 seconds of work on this, or until I can find a slight burr on the back side of the blade. So when I do that, I feel a burr. Now I'm going to step over here to my 16,000. So I'm going from 1,000 to 16,000. And this technique enables you to do that. I created a secondary bevel over here, which was 2 or 3 degrees above the primary. Primary was 25. Actually, I think this is 30, isn't it, Jake? Is
Let me
that
see
a
the
30
bevel.
degree?
No, it's 25.
Calibrated eyes.
Reground.
Now I'm going to come over here on my 16,000, find the primary, come up a degree or 2 higher than the previous one, and I'm going to do the same thing. Only this time I'm a few degrees higher. I'll spend about 10 seconds on this stone. At the end of 10 seconds, without doing anything different, I'm going to put downward pressure on my right index finger and then downward pressure on my pinky. And that just creates a little feathering at the outside corners. As a final step, and Paul, I haven't forgotten, I'll get to that answer tonight. I'm with the blade elevated, what we call a Charlesworth ruler trick. May he rest in peace. Stay within 1/4 inch of the edge and just polish off the burr. Clean that up. Whenever you use a scrub plane and you walk around, it reminds me way too much of cold snow in January. Crunch, crunch. That's way too early to be talking about that.
Did you spend enough time on the 16,000?
Well, let's find out, Jake.
Your circles were just a lot slower than they
Were you
usually are.
counting?
Quick question while you were doing the Charlesworth ruler trick. Alfred wants to know if
Who does?
Alfred Borg.
Alfred?
He wants to know if you still use the Charlesworth ruler trick on a chisel plane.
On the chisel plane? Yeah, I do. Yeah. I'm going to turn around while we're talking about it. And I'm going to tell you what I use it on and what I don't use it on. I'm going to turn my phone off. Not that I don't like hearing those donations come in, but the ding ding might drive us crazy. Hopefully it will. Starting over here. So I just explained what the Charlesworth ruler trick is. It's where you elevate your blade. Here's a good example. See that little highly polished strip on the back of the blade? Can you see it?
Move it. Like bend it backward. No, backward. Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. What we used to do, we used to polish all of this to look like that. The only part that ever touches the wood is right out here. So all the work you do back in here was for naught. So David Charlesworth came up with this idea back in the mid-70s that instead of setting the blade down flat like that, hey guys, shh. Instead of setting the blade, I run a nursery part-time. Instead of setting the blade like we do a chisel and going through and polishing the entire back, because you pretty much have to polish all of this in order to get out there, what you do, or what his idea was, elevate the blade, the thickness of a steel rule, and everybody always asks, how thick are these? How thick is it, Jake?
18.
18 thou. So a little less than 5 sheets of writing paper. So you would set this on the edge of your stone. You always keep it in the same spot. And you put the edge of the blade over on the opposite side of the stone. Stay within 1/4 of an inch of the edge. Now what you've done, if you look down here, you're elevating that blade just slightly, but you're bypassing all of this, and you're just creating a little polished strip right along there. And you combine that with a little polished strip right out here, and now you get the same result with a fraction of the amount of work. And it works phenomenally well. Phenomenally well. I haven't done it any other way since probably 2002 when I was introduced to that technique the first time I met David down in Maine. So I use it on my number 8, 7, 6, 5.5, 10 1/4. 10 1/4 is a bench rabbiting plane, so the blade runs all the way to either side.
It might be a lot easier if you just tell them what you don't.
Well, maybe they want to know.
Well, I know.
I use it on the 4.5.
Do you use it on a 5?
I don't use it on the scrub. I would use it on a 4 and a 5 if I used them. I use it on this little shoulder plane, this little block plane. I use it on this rabbiting plane. Now, here's what you might not expect. I use it when I prepare the blade on this scraper. I use it on this scraper as well. This is a butt mortise plane. I would use it on that one as well. I never use it on any of the chisels.
Wouldn't.
Wouldn't?
Wouldn't.
Wouldn't.
That was me.
I never use it on any of the chisels. I use it on the block plane. I use it on the skew block plane. I use it on this little squirrel tail. I actually...
Don't.
No, I don't use it on that because it's too small. I use it on all the shoulder planes. And I use it on the spoke shaves. I would use it on this number 80 scraper plane. I use it on those small
Spoke shave.
spoke shaves.
Chisel
I use it on the chisel plane, which is down here. That's what a chisel plane looks like. And I use it on my card scrapers as well. So you can see a little polished strip right out on the edge. Saves you a ton of time. All right, so we're going to go in and we're going to plane this board up. The question is, how often do I sharpen? First of all, I never strop. Why don't I strop? Well, I'll show you why. When I'm done with this, I should have a surface that you cannot feel where it could be improved. So what I'm doing right now is getting rid of the mill marks that came from the thickness planer. This is a piece of black spruce. And how long could I plane without having to resharpen on something like this? I could probably go, I don't know, maybe for 20 minutes to a half an hour. If it was a piece of maple, I might get 15 minutes. There, that's done. It's lovely and smooth. Now, if you learn to sharpen my way, 32 seconds to sharp is the video where we teach it. What you'll realize is it only takes half a minute to sharpen. Why would you ever allow your blade to get to a point where it's really dull? The sharper it is, the easier it is to use, and the better the surface. The easier it is to plane, the more control you have. So that's always the way to go. Keep it sharp. It could be a new definition for the term kiss. Keep it sharp, Sam. What?
Well, can you comment further on why someone wouldn't strop, or why you don't?
So the reason I don't strop,
and this would be if someone were to use a lesser grit and then strop to get that kind of finish.
Okay, stroppers. So I want my edge to be straight from here to here. Straight is defined as the shortest distance between 2 points, right? I also want it to be straight when I look at it this way. So if you strop, you're going to get a little bit of this going on the edge. Slightly. Over time, you could get a lot. But more importantly, I get what I consider to be a superior edge with 32 seconds of work over there. I always say this. You feel the board and you say, okay, could that be better? Could I make that so that feels even better? And if the answer is no, then don't go any further. If I can do that in 32 seconds, well, why? At that point, saving 2 seconds is not a big deal. So
I don't think it's in addition to. I think it's to replace.
What?
Like instead of buying a 1,000, 16,000 and a strop,
Oh, a strop?
Buy a 1,000 and then strop.
Now, carving tools, gouge a strop, but I'm not a stropper, so I can't really even comment. I do it my way.
But it's
I
because
teach it
you want
my
that
way.
straight edge.
I want that straight edge. Not a stropper. Sorry. Frick, next, please.
Yeah, we got a lot to get through, so whip through them.
Well, all right.
Jeff Lavino.
Could you read faster?
If you stop interrupting me, I can. Jeff Lavino
Go
says,
ahead.
what are the first clues as you're planing that it's time to resharpen?
Jeff?
Show them.
Well, it's going to take too long.
Just scar the
Okay,
board.
okay. Watch this, Jeff. So when I take this shaving, see how the shaving's intact? Now, as you continue to plane, what eventually happens is you'll get a big hole in your shaving. Just kidding. What's going to happen is the edge is going to start to break. So I'm going to take my fingernails. I'm just going to run my fingernails over there like that. Now watch what happens when I... So you see that? See how the shaving starts to shred? When that occurs, you know your edge is breaking down. You can get rid of it by advancing the blade, but that's not solving your problem. That's just keeping your shaving from shredding. So the first sign is you start to get cuts, slits in your shaving. You know your edge is broken down, go back and resharpen. That's the number one indicator that your blade is edge starting to break down. And I always, it's all about reading the shavings. Call them tea leaves if you want. You just watch your shaving, and that'll tell you everything that you need to know about what's going on with your plane.
And on the end grain, you'll get
Yeah, the end grain you'll see evidence of a dull blade quicker than anywhere else. You'll see faint lines, and then you know that your edge is not performing the way it should. What else was I going to tell them about this? No, and you can tell if you're planing over torn grain, it'll show up as little holes in your shaving, and you just keep planing until you no longer have little holes in your shaving. Then you know the surface is perfected. Next, Rick. We're cranking them through.
I'm just going to give a quick shout out to our vets.
Yes, who do we have on?
Ralph Sutton, Jeremy
Hi,
Thompson. Jeremy Thompson.
Little Ralph. Remember Ralph? Big guy.
Did you get the next one? Jeremy Thompson's here.
Hey, Jeremy.
Casper's here.
Casper. Did he get my shout out earlier? You see how
Yes.
they got above me?
Yeah. Jeff O'Connor and Kevin
Swedish
Burris are
flag?
here.
Jeffrey. Kevin Burris.
Yeah.
Hey, Kev.
And John Beck's here. Has he attended our class? yet?
John.
Yeah.
John was in
Big bad
John Vietnam
John.
vet. He was in May.
Luther was here, so
May.
Luther was at both.
Okay, and that's it for now. If
Yeah.
forget anybody,
Okay,
let
if
me
you're
know.
a combat wounded vet that's been to our class, we just finished 4. We're doing number 5 on the 19th of September. Please give us a shout out so we can return it to you. So let me just tell you what we're going to do tonight. For every $1,000 that we raise, we give away a prize. So you can put your name into the draw. You don't have to donate. Highly recommended. You don't have to donate in order to get a prize. We give away, every time we give away 3 Dead Cat sweaters or golf shirts, your choice. Moose is here, and the Dead Cats aren't. But you know it when you see it. It's the warmest garment you'll ever have. I was just telling Moose that I was talking to Barry Johnson. Barry's out in Calgary. And he had bought one for his wife. And when he got it, she said, I'm not wearing that. And he said, now he says she doesn't go anywhere without it. As Chris says, it's got little heaters inside to keep you warm. So we give away 3 Dead Cat sweaters, and then we give away prizes that are made by combat wounded vets that have been to our class that are now running businesses. So, and with one slight exception tonight. So Jeff O'Connor, Jeff makes the kiss stick. He makes shave bowls. This is made out of Pacific yew. This one is oak. Kevin Burris makes laser engraving on both granite and slate. This is on slate. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If you don't know what that means, contact me. Jeff and Danny and Kevin do. And Bob Abbott makes these tumbling block cutting boards. We've got some new stuff coming from Danny Bell. I'm waiting for it. And a little note here. So there is a group of people that are being ignored that shouldn't be. And those are the wives and children of combat wounded vets. So these guys get a Purple Heart. Their wife deserves it too, because I've got it from a reliable source that they literally go through hell, and it's not an easy life. So Kim, who is Jeff's wife, is a craftsperson in her own right, and she has a website. It's called Snippets and Stitches. Stitches and Snippets?
Snippets and Stitches.
Snippets and Stitches.
You got it right the first time.
Yeah. Right. Hey, where'd it go? Oh. So I asked her, I said, because she's part of this business group that we have, so I asked her to send us something that we could give away, that I could buy from her. So I was going to ask Moose to model this European carry-all, also known as a handbag. So this is a Disney theme, and I'm sorry, I'm ignorant to this, but it's got all the little stuff on here. I looked at it and said, okay, what do I think of the craftsmanship? She makes all these things herself, and the craftsmanship is first rate, absolutely. So there's the little badge.
That's Lilo.
Who?
Lilo
No,
or
it's
Stitch?
Stitch.
Stitch, whatever.
Come on.
Stitch is a Disney character.
Thank you. I would never have known that. Stitch. So we're going to give that away tonight. And what else was I just going to tell you? Oh, and she sent this along too. And I thought there'd be some guys out there that would like this. You ought to see Jeff, her husband, modeling this. I won't say any more. Super Dave on?
No.
No, we'll get him to model it next time when he's here. To go along with the picture up in Jake's office.
You're going to need more snippets and stitches.
So those are the prizes, and you actually, if you get one of Kevin's plaques, he'll do whatever you want. He does flags. He does a lot of military-themed plaques for various people. So there's a Canadian destroyer, Canadian flag that he did for me. I'm running out of room. But this one means the most, so I put that one up there. Actually, we have our motto, our Purple Heart motto, logo, not motto, sorry, not logo, over there. Anyway, good stuff. So, and I want to acknowledge Chris. Chris is here, Chris Davenport from Fredericton. Chris has been a huge help with us in our business. He's the reason why our saw business is where it is, and there's new stuff coming. And Moose will be here tonight. We'll give away. Moose supports us all the time with our Purple Heart. He also gives.
He's
all
awake this time too.
Yes, he's well. We
for now.
put some tacks in the seat to keep him that way.
You're so grippy.
He gives. He donates a purple. A dead cat sweater to every vet when we bring them in. So, and little Moosey is here somewhere, but maybe he went home. Can he make a cameo?
Yeah, I
David.
just texted her.
Send him in. Show off his teeth.
You can hear him, so you should see him.
He's got more. He's got more teeth.
He's got more original.
Yeah. So,
He hasn't got more hair than you.
more teeth than you is what I was going to say.
No.
Hazard of playing that game with a puck and a stick. Go ahead, Frank. What's next?
Ken Stewart.
Luther on?
No.
Luther's not on.
No.
Was he on vacation?
Solo.
Frick is overworked tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I've had a long day. Let's get this
Heavily
over
worked.
with. Ken Stewart wants to know
Hey, Ken.
what old Stanley plane would be all right to turn into a scrub plane.
Oh, some people use a 4. You want it to be relatively small because you whip it around unlike you would a normal plane. So probably a 4. 5 might be a bit big.
What about 4.5?
Heavy. You want it light. You want it fairly narrow too so you can get in, work an area. 4. Next, Frick.
Mike V's.
Ken's a big guy.
Yeah, that's all right.
Well, I'm just
a
thinking,
4.
can he fit his hand in
Oh,
a
yes.
4?
Yeah.
Mike V is here from May 22 class.
Mike. Hi, Mike.
Dragomir Dichev
Okay.
says,
Hello.
how should I prepare the side of the blade for my rabbiting plane? Do I need to sharpen the sides as they are touching the wood?
No, not really. So he's talking about, I'll show you an example. Here is here's a plane that's designed to cut a groove in Davood.
What plane is he talking about?
He's talking about a rabbit plane, but same idea. You're cutting on the side. So this plane, when it's loaded upright, let me just put this in place and I'll show you. Oh yeah, we should also announce, Erica, Frick, do you have anything you want to announce to the crowd?
No?
What?
Number 5 is on the way. Child number 5 for Erica and I.
Also, boy number 5.
Well, we don't know that yet. We're hoping for a girl, but
Frick has 4 boys, so they would like to have a girl, although they gave all their boy stuff away. So this blade cuts on 3 sides. This plane, sorry. Right? So I think what he's asking is, how do you sharpen the sides? Well, you don't really need to. It's kind of like the way a mortise chisel works. If you wanted to be real anal about it, there's your cutting edge, right? This surface and this surface. But that's why there's a relief right here. You can see where it's ground back so that you don't end up binding. Same thing is done over there. So as long as you're polishing the back, it's probably all you really need. I don't think you're going to see enhanced performance by going in and polishing that little strip. People often ask me with the mortise chisels, what do you have to do? Well, once you polish the back, I don't go in and try to polish the sides. Not necessary. Okay. The way the grain's cut. Hey! Show the teeth.
We can see them.
This is little Moose and his mom and his mother Megan. And he's been growing teeth lately. Got anything to say? Yeah? Blowing bubbles through his nose. He'll be interesting around Christmas time. Next question, Frick.
Anthony Steventon.
Snotted all over my window. Anthony who?
Steventon.
Hi, Anthony.
He says, should there be a secondary bevel on chip breaker when setting up a new bench plane?
Should there be a secondary bevel on the chip breaker when they're setting up a new bench plane? Not really. Sometimes we do, only because if your chip breaker's out of whack, meaning it's not flat on the bottom side, you take the screw out, you set it like so.
Doc
wet.
Bailey's here, by the way.
Who?
Say hi to Doc Bailey.
Hey, Doc.
Here, just grab this piece of pine.
Doc Bailey, another Vietnam vet. He goes way back to 2017, I think.
Class 3.
Huh?
Class number 3.
Class number 3, so 2017. Yep. So you need to have the back side, this end, lower than this end. Stay within about 1/4 of an inch of this edge, and you go in, you move it back and forth like that. You have to maintain that negative angle. Well, if that's not making contact all the way across, you have to go in and repair it. And in the process of doing so, you usually end up leaving a burr out here. And rather than go in there and polish that, I'm going to clean that up anyway. Rather than go in and polish that whole bevel, which really is not necessary, you could just go in and...
just hit that on the wheel. On the...
Nah, do it right here.
On the wire wheel.
No, the wire wheel's too rough. No, I just put a little bit of back bevel. I just put a little bit of secondary, what am I saying? A little micro bevel on there. Oh, he asked me about a back bevel.
No, he didn't.
He didn't?
No, he said a secondary bevel.
Secondary. You can if you want to. You don't need to. I was just trying to get that stuff off, but I didn't hit it at the right angle. No. I'm not a proponent of the value of chip breaker. I think they get way more credit than they deserve. Their original role was to prevent the blade from vibrating because it was so thin. If you're using a blade like that, which is 1/8 of an inch thick or thicker, you almost don't need it. And as evidence that it doesn't really matter, if you look at any kind of a low angle plane, whether it be a block plane or a low angle jack or smoother, they don't have chip breakers. They perform just as well. So, a little too much to do about nothing. Next, Frick.
Do you want to know who you look like, according to the consensus here?
Is my hair out of whack again? I have to keep hosing it down because it gets in my eyes.
You either look like the guy from Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, Michael Landon?
Yeah,
He's dead.
Or Kurt Russell.
Or Kurt Russell, huh?
Is Kurt Russell? He's dead too, isn't he? No?
No, that was Val.
No, Val Kilmer's not dead.
No. Who's maybe Kurt Russell is? Well, let's not start any rumors. Patrick Swayze.
Yes, okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
No, you don't look like him.
You're setting up the rumor mill, Frick. Go ahead, next.
Drew Jet wants to know, do you sharpen any differently for really tough woods like live oak?
Well, so some people, David Charlesworth in particular, would grind a 30-degree primary bevel. So what you got to remember is this, and I went a long time before I even realized this. So when I'm planing, it's actually the back of the blade that's doing the work, right? The bevel never touches, no part of the bevel ever touches the wood. It's the back that touches it. So as long as you stay under 45 degrees, which is what the parked angle is when it sits on the frog, then it doesn't really change anything back here, except if you have more metal behind that cutting edge, it would only stands to reason that it's going to make the edge more durable. Problem is, it doesn't give you much leeway when it comes to creating your micro bevels. You don't have a whole lot before you end up going above 45, and then it won't work. So some people will use a grind to 30 degree. I prefer 25. So you can play around with it, and if you think it works, great, use it. If you don't, don't. I don't know if it's, I don't think it's worth it, but just one opinion. Next, Frick.
We're out of time.
We're not out of time.
Travis says, I have a spoke shave and the blade is quite small. Any tips on that? Straight out of the box with only one edge on it.
Yep. Show you. Take your spoke shave. Here's that's a little Lee Nelson copy of a Preston. And it's really...
Is it a 101?
101?
No, what number is it?
I don't think it had a number. So what I do in a situation like that, take a pair of vice grips. Actually, I have little tiny vice grips that are easier to use. Trying to freehand this is really difficult because there's just nothing to hold on to. So just take a pair of vice grips and grab the blade like that. And now you got something to hold on to go in there and do your secondary bevel. Then you can come over and do your primary bevel. And when I do the back bevel on it, of course you're not going to reach all the way to the other side, so I just sit it right about there. Just go in and do that. That's all there is to it. So a little pair of vice grips is the best solution I have. Next, Frick.
Jonathan Walsh says, I am brand new to sharpening. Should I start with Rob's method freehand or a honing guide? I have Rob's sharpening system on the way. We'll use his method. What tool is the best to start with?
Jonathan, do it the way you want to remain doing it. So I always promote freehand because it's a skill. And this whole hobby / craft is about developing skills. And at the end of the day, you want to be able to look at something you did and you want to take ownership. I did that. I laid that out, I cut it, I did it all by hand. If I'd used a lead dovetail jig, he gets the credit, not me. I don't care if anybody else knows or cares. I do. So why not do the same thing with your sharpening? I can give you some reasons. It's faster. You don't have to go, for me it would be finding the jig, then you got to clean it off from the last time you used it and you didn't. And you got to set it up. And you'll never learn if you do that. If you use that crutch, you'll probably never learn freehand. It's not difficult. We teach the guys, they come in here Monday morning. By the time we hand out tools and everything, it's probably, and listen to all the yapping I have to do, it's probably 9:30 before they get near their bench. And then by lunchtime, they're planing. And most of them have it down. Everybody has it down before they leave. So freehand, it's not hard. I'm gonna run through it with you real quick. It's worth it. So you see what I did on this blade? Use your 4.5. I put 4 little circles. So here's how I hold it. So I'm right-handed, so you're looking over my shoulder. There's where my fingers are in the back. Squeeze it like this. I take my left hand, I stick my index finger in there, so that's my indexing point. And then I put 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 fingers. Why? Because I want to disperse the pressure as uniformly as possible along the cutting edge. So I come over here. I've already dressed my stones. My stones are nice and flat. I lubricate them. Use Hone Right if you're using the diamond plate so it won't rust. Holding the blade, you find the primary bevel. Now the nice thing about a thick blade, it produces a very large primary bevel. And that's your locator, that's your goal post, whatever you want to call it. So listen. See? You can hear it. Find my primary bevel. That's at 25 degrees. Now, I don't want to have to do, if I stay on that, then I'm having to work too much surface area. So instead, I'm going to raise it up just a few degrees. And that may be difficult in the beginning, but you'll get it. Just go from there up here, park. Now, keep your shoulders, pardon me, your wrists, your elbows locked, little tight circles. Light to moderate pressure with each finger, and try to apply the same amount of pressure with each finger. Concentrate on what you're doing. After 10 seconds, feel for a burr on the back side of the blade. As soon as you can feel a burr that runs corner to corner, you know you have a new edge. If you don't, do it again. Set it down, find the primary, come up off of it. This is more typical, the speed that I would use. Count out 10 seconds. At the end of 10 seconds, feel for the burr. As soon as you get the burr, you come over here. And you're going to do the same thing. Find your primary. But if that's where I was parked for the secondary, then when I go back to my primary, I'm going to go a little bit higher for the tertiary. And do the same thing, little tight circles. Count out 10. At the end of 10 seconds, don't change anything. Just push down a little harder with my index finger on my right hand. 3 seconds. Then I push down a little harder with my pinky on my left hand. 3 seconds. Final step, take the little steel rule, turn the blade over on its back, stay within 1/4 of an inch of that edge, pull the blade on, 1, 2, 3 seconds to remove the burr. That's it. Now, I watched the video 32 seconds to sharp, and that'll review that for you. It is not hard, it is not difficult at all. If you don't get it the first time, take it apart and try again. No big deal. It's easy. Secondary and tertiary bevel are the real secrets. The ruler trick is the ultimate secret. You already have the stones, so the stones are in the way. Okay? Good luck with it. Don't worry, you'll get it. Next, Frick.
Pat Pierce says, I have an IBC 1 inch and want to flatten the back. Do you know if the back and top are parallel? I have access to a surface grinder and want to see if that helps with the bump I have.
Pretty sure they're not.
Pardon?
I'm pretty sure they're not.
Not even close?
Well, not close enough to surface grind.
Yeah. If you bought it from us and it's got a bump, return it, because we'll get you a good one. When did we start doing that? A year ago?
Would have been January, February.
January, February this year, we started going in and we check them all, make sure they're within a half a thou, or we don't ship them out. I'm gonna need to say hello to Angie. So this is Ken Anthony. Ken manages the shop here, and this is his cousin Angie. Angie is confined to her bed because of an illness, but she's getting better because she has to come to work. And she and her sister Lynn, who's her caregiver, package up all of our Purple Heart t-shirts so that they come to you nice and neat, ready to wear. A big shout out to Angie. And I'll see if I can't not destroy my display. Next, Frick, please. Hi, Kim. It's my wife. She loves the limelight. Probably aiming at me right now. Frick, what do you got?
Another question from Danny. Lee Nielsen has a scraper blade in their low angle plane. It's a normal blade set at 90 degrees instead of 25% or 30%. Can this be done in a modern bedrock plane?
I don't know. I've never tried that. I have never tried that.
Future YouTube video, maybe?
So I think Lee Nielsen sells a 90-degree blade, which means a blade that's just square on the end, and they use that in their low-angle plane. So that would mean that their angle of attack would be 90 plus 12, 102 degrees. Since 90 degrees is plumb, that's a forward angle of 12 degrees. So I guess, I mean, I don't know, how would you do it? Yeah, I don't know. Don't know. First time that question's been thrown at me. Just so that you understand what he's talking about. So here's a scraper plane. And as you notice, on a bench plane, your blade is laying back 45 degrees. On the scraper plane, what is that angle, Jake? Do you know?
It's high. It looks like
You guys notice that we almost have that pull-out cabinet done?
almost 75. I don't think you can use that one. You gotta use it.
I can use it to do it like this. So that is about 20 degrees. So that's leaning forward 20 degrees. Now, the way we typically prepare this has a bevel on there, and we polish this, and we polish this, and we put a burr on there, so there's a little hook. So what you're actually doing is you're scraping. Your hook is coming around like that, but it's very shallow, very small hook, and it's literally scraping the wood as opposed to cutting it like that. So that's the idea behind a scraper. What he's talking about doing is putting a blade that would be squared off. So if you can imagine, instead of having the blade sitting in there like that, it would be sitting in there like that. So you would be, you might be able, I would put a burr on it and make it work like a scraper plane. Who knows? Maybe it'll work.
He says, is the blade in a bedrock stout enough?
No,
Not in a
no,
bedrock.
not in. I don't think in that application, because their blades are only 75, 80 thou thick at the most. And how you? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're in uncharted territory for me. Next.
I got one more. Dragomir, another question from Dragomir. He says, my shooting plane blade gets dull very quickly on one small area only. Should I improve my sharpening method, or is there another solution?
His shooting plane blade gets dull in one area.
One small area only.
One small area.
Well, it's natural that your shooting plane is
Well,
going to wear.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what he means. If you're using a shooting board, this is a shooting board. And I have my plane in there like this. I'm typically working 3/4 material
Or less.
or less. I hate it when it does that. So I'm going to wear that 3/4 section sooner than I'm going to wear any of the rest of it. But if he means just some area of that material, then my first guess would be might have a soft spot in the metal. That's not uncommon. In that case, you go and you regrind. I would probably, if go resharpen one more time, and if it still continues to happen, then there's a soft spot in there. And you can probably get rid of it by going over to the grinder and literally blunting the edge. So instead of grinding like this, you're going to go in and you're going to change this. By the way, everybody should have one of these. This is called a Wolverine grinding jig. We sell them, and it's the best tool rest for any grinder. It attaches to the table, not the grinder, so it'll fit anybody's. But it's rock solid, nice big thick piece of 1/4-inch steel. And I would go in, I would blunt that off. Take it back maybe, I don't know, 1/64 of an inch. And then, so you've ground away any of that soft metal that might be out on the tip. Then reset your tool rest, put it back in place for 45, and then grind back until you bring that to a point again. And then go through the sharpening process and see if that solves the problem. If that doesn't solve the problem, then do it again. But the only explanation I have for what you're experiencing is that you just have a soft spot in the metal. Next, Frick.
That's it.
What?
Yep.
Oh, you just stopped reading questions.
I'm out of questions.
What?
What, do you want me to wait for one?
What do you mean, there are no more questions?
Not really.
because Luther forgot to send out the.
You forgot to put the question link to send them in before, but I've been taking them from the chat. Debo Green says, was this always a passion or did it grow on you over time?
My hair or my woodworking?
Your woodworking, I assume.
It's been passion all my life. Earliest childhood memory was building stuff. My father was a shop teacher, turned carpenter contractor, so our basement always had tools and wood. I always had access to it. Where are those? I should bring them down. So I've always done this, well before I started going to school. I did it all through my teenage years. I've never stopped doing it. 'Tis my passion. Love my wife, like my woodwork.
Jesse Rufiange says that the hone right really brings out your grays.
Oh, Jesse's funny. Jesse Rufiange. Jesse, I forgot, I had to give it away to somebody. So Jesse is a Canadian combat wounded vet. He, RCR, he fought in Afghanistan, got injured over there. And Jesse has since moved back to Nova Scotia, which isn't far away, just lives across the bay. And we actually hire him. He makes our dovetail marking gauges.
Dovetail marker.
Dovetail markers and our drawer dovetail markers. And he also makes those little stands for your cell phone. Mine got lifted. Anyway, big shout out to Jesse and his clan. They're over there, I'm sure, watching by the sounds of it and commenting on my gray.
Do we know how many vets have gone through the PHP program
Yeah,
total?
135. 135 combat wounded vets to date. 3 of them were females. 1 was from Australia, 1 was from Ireland, 1 was from Denmark. We have had Canadians. I had this count at one point. Jesse was actually the first of 2. Jesse and Kyle Pearl over in Newfoundland were the first 2 Canadians. I think I'm going to guess and say that we've had somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 Canadians. The rest are U.S. soldiers. Next
Well,
Rick.
not just U.S. We had them.
What?
Okay.
What?
He said not just U.S., other countries.
I just listed it. I said 1 from
I
Australia.
wasn't paying attention. I'm falling asleep over here. Here's a quick one. Mickey D wants to know, how hard do you press on the Shapton stones as opposed to the diamond stones?
I don't change that. I probably apply the same amount of downward pressure. And that's a good question because a lot of people apply way too much pressure. So if you can, when you're setting that on there, it's just, it's probably the weight of my arms, no more. I'm not pushing. I'm literally just gravity on my arms is all it takes. If the harder you push, the less control you have, the harder it is to feel what's happening through your fingers. So Frick is saying that it's too late, but if you keep asking, we'll keep answering. But I will tell you this. Big news is we are now officially...
Don't say that. Because it doesn't affect anything right now.
Well, it's going to.
I know, but go on.
We are a 501c3.
I don't know.
Yeah. Luther got that finalized. So we'll soon be able to issue you tax receipts in both Canada and the United States for your help, and we need it. We're in need of some equipment. Our van being one of them. We use our 15 passenger, the numbers are dropping. Our 15 passenger van to cart the soldiers back and forth. Ours is a 2008 and it has been spent. It's gonna be turned into a cargo van. So we need a nice Purple Heart van so that we can maintain that. It's about a 3.5 hour drive from here to Bangor. And that's the airport that we use for almost all the US soldiers. Occasionally some of them will come in, Canadian and the foreign soldiers will come in to a closer airport, but yes. Super Dave never showed up?
No.
Any other vets? How many people do we have on?
Not many. It's We have 4:35.
Yeah.
Long weekend. Understandable.
All right. When's our next live?
Well,
The Saturday before the next show?
let me check my calendar real quick.
It should be. The Saturday would be the 17th.
Oh, I'm DJing that day.
You're going to get somebody else to do it?
Well, if I was,
Or we do it on a Friday?
they should have sat with me today.
We could do it on a Friday.
Yeah, I suppose.
Do it on a Friday. We'll do a 1 hour on a Friday, and then we'll do the other hour on the Thursday during the class. That's where you get a chance to meet everybody.
So it would be on Friday the 16th.
Friday the 16th. Mark that one in your calendar.
I'm doing it.
Okay. Anything else I have to shout out?
No, we have to do a draw though.
Well, how many what are our donation numbers?
We're only at $12.50.
So we're only giving away one?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a killer. We got to bump that up. I'll have to start doing a better job. We're going to give away Kim's bag. So this is going to, it might be for you. You can surprise your wife with this. This is made by hand. You can check out her website, snippetsandstitches.com. Well, that'll be our grand prize tonight. And I think I'll give away this apron. We'll give away this apron as well, Purple Heart apron. I can get Kim to make more of those if you guys like it.
But what about where it's been?
Charge extra? I don't think that's the one, is it? And then we're giving away our 3 dead cats. So we'll do our 3 dead cats first. Rick, if you're ready, we can go.
Okay, second. All right. Here we go.
First dead cat.
First
Goes.
dead cat is going to Derek Robertson in the UK.
Hey, Derek. Congratulations. Second dead cat.
Second dead cat is going to Michael Kratke in Northville, New York.
Hey, Michael. I think I know Michael.
Michael's been to one of our classes years ago.
Yeah, when we were in Niagara Falls.
And
Remember him well.
Number 3 is going to Dave Avery in Ontario, Canada.
Hey, Dave. You'll need it soon. I hate to say that, but
Isn't Dave one of the builders?
Dave. Last name was what, Frick?
Avery.
I don't think so.
Dave Weber is.
Dave Weaver's the one that's been building. He's
Documenting the whole thing on the PHP Bench Brigade Facebook page. So if you want to follow along.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll give away our apron, our Purple Heart apron. Who's that going to go to?
The apron is going to Cody O'Mosier in Pennsylvania.
Hey, Cody in Pennsylvania, congratulations. Keep all your treasures in there. And the Kim O'Connor custom handbag theme is?
Should you give them a choice just in case they don't have a significant other?
No.
All right. I'm getting it anyway. So they can obtain a significant other.
Well, actually, you know what? We will. We'll give them a choice between that, and we'll keep it in the O'Connor household, between that or a shave brush.
It's going to Michael Wilson in Alabama.
Hey, Michael, we'll find out how much you love your wife. Michael in Alabama, your call. Let Gina know. Okay, folks, been great spending our Labor Day weekend with you. Big thank you for our first aid kit that we hope we never have to use, but something tells me we will. We got some really interesting YouTubes coming out this week. What's being released this week, Jake? I'm not allowed to say, but there's some good ones. And if you're wondering why all these chests of drawers are all around me, because we were filming the next YouTube and we didn't get it done. Anyway, have a good weekend. See you. And a big shout out to all the participants coming on Purple Heart Workshop number 19. September 19th. We'll see you on the 18th, actually. See you.